Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Season 1, Episode 8, Ribbit and Rip It. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. And if you can, if you haven't subscribed as of yet, take a look at the other pops at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my fast favorite library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, if you can, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you also, please hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you feel like gambling or just feel lucky, you can hit that bell down below and YouTube may or may not notify you when I come on live. Best thing to do is go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. Facebook group page, YouTube, all that kind of stuff is on there. So let's get started, shall we? Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you've not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video you can comment down below in the comment section. Giving you enough time to hit pause, run away, whatever you need to do. All right. So this is just an out and out fun episode. We knew Daredevil was coming, of course, and this is the episode that Daredevil comes in. Hey, Cheryl, and doesn't disappoint. Charlie Cox, of course, returning as Daredevil from the Netflix series, so he's now in the MCU, and he, of course, the whole story is that we get introduced to Leapfrog. Leapfrog is an actual character in the Marvel comics. Daredevil has fought him. Spider-Man has fought him. There's lots of different people that have fought him, and he's been both on a vigilante and also a villain. So he's gone on both sides of the law there, if you will. So in this one, he happens to be suing Luke Jacobson, of course, the maker of superhero costumes, because his jet boots burned him. He got third-degree burns on his legs. And of course, his father, the guy's father, ends up, he's a client of GLK and H. And it falls to Jen, of course, because they want Jen on there because she's a Hulk, which of course puts her in conflict with Luke Jacobson at this point. So it does go to court, and Luke's lawyer is a little bit late, and who shows up but Matt Murdock to take his case. And Matt can immediately smell that there's jet fuel inside the boots of Leapfrog's boots there. And this is one thing this is the one nitpick I have about this episode at all, was that Jen just didn't do any due diligence in the otherwise we wouldn't have had a story really. But I mean, if she just did a little bit of due diligence as a lawyer, she would have said, "Hey, did you follow the manufacturer's instructions?" He didn't. So he used jet fuel, which weren't in the instructions, and of course the case was dismissed. Um, so Matt ends up, meeting her in the bar, um, the bar that she's always hanging out in, and buying her a drink. And he gets a call, and he has to leave immediately. And they're having some vibes there. We're getting some sparks, of course, going on here. And oh, and by the way, and Luke is no longer making She-Hulk's gala dress for the Female Lawyer of the Year gala ball that's going on. So she's on the outs with him at that point. Um, she ends up going home, to her apartment, where she ends up getting a call from Leapfrog saying that he's being chased by some guy he doesn't know who, and he needs her help, and he's going to the lily pad, his place that he ends up going to. And she ends up trying on her new superhero costume, the superhero costume that we've all been teased about for a while there, that Luke made for her. And who ends up being the guy that is going after Leapfrog, but it's Daredevil. And we get a little Daredevil fight scene between She-Hulk and Daredevil, which is a great scene, by the way. Actually, it's better action scenes than the stuff that was in Netflix. I'm going to say that right now. The way he was moving, everything was like in the comics. It was a great scene. It's one of those scenes that I'm gonna go back and watch it again just because the movements on it are fluid. You don't have to, there's no shaky cam involved in any of this. There's no motion blur going on. There's no bullshit. I'm looking at you, Nolan and Snyder, and all you dickheads who can't get comic book movie fights right. This is the way you do a comic book movie fight. And again, this is Kat Corio, who is the, of course, the showrunner. She also directed this episode. And I just got to say props to her for actually getting a fucking comic book scene fight right. That's just awesome. I mean, she does a great job of it. It's one of my favorite fight scenes that I've seen. It's short, but it works. And what comes out of it is that thanks, Mufino, you didn't need to do that. Um, we end up seeing that Daredevil's like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Your client has kidnapped my client, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get him back. And she's like, oh, okay, let's work together. So of course they end up going to the lily pad, which is not a, underground, it's got a big neon sign on the outside saying where it's at. So, of course, Daredevil wants to go in. He knows how many people there are. He tells her that she knows that he's Matt Murdock now at this point. She pulled off his helmet, and he tells her, he's blind, but he also uses echolocation, or echolocation, as they were saying, and that he knows there's 30 people inside the building and where they're at, and he's going to take them out with stealth. And she's like, no, just let me go in and do the Hulk thing, and I can wipe them out. He's like, no, let's do it the easy way, and she doesn't want to do it, of course. Um, yes, Cordell Fenival, I agree with you. The corridor fight scene is great, but this scene was better. I'm going to say that right now. Yes, I know that's heresy. It's a different scene actually. So this is more comic book more of a comic book adaptation, a better comic book adaptation. The Netflix hallway fight scene is just a good dark gritty fight scene. Is really what it is. So yeah, why couldn't she do the math? I know he's like, it takes 15 seconds per guy. 30 guys, 15 seconds is not half an hour. But yeah, anyway. So of course Jen does go in and do the Hulk smash thing, and they end up getting Luke out of his predicament. Leapfrog gets arrested, and Luke actually forgives Jen. So they're on a and it's going to make her gala dress at this point. And Matt's gonna, we still have sparks going between Jen and Matt at this point, and he's got to go back to New York in the morning. So he goes, well, maybe next time I'm here, I can buy you dinner. And she goes, or we could just skip dinner. And so this is the thing that's causing another bone of contention now amongst the idiots on the internet. That Daredevil had sex. Oh my God, Matt Murdock and Jen Walters had sex. Um, Not a big deal, man. It really isn't. If you read the fucking She-Hulk comics in the 80s, 90s, and on, this is what happens in this comic. I mean, yes. Um, I did love the walk of shame the next morning of him without his shoes on, walking in the Daredevil costume, with his shoes over his shoulder. And the old woman that's walking past him, she goes, mm-hmm, is what she does. Is that just made me laugh. It really fucking made me laugh. And was just another good little scene, quite honestly. It wasn't overstated or anything like that. It was just a matter of fact there. And yes, CBM, I like this pairing as well. I agree with you on that. Um, this was just a fun episode. And then I love that we have Nikki coming into the apartment saying, hey, we need to get ready. Where's your gala ball gown and all that stuff? Because we're gonna get ready for the female lawyer of the year gala. And Jen comes when she first comes into the living room, she looks at us on the camera and goes, you guys are still here? It's the end of the episode, kind of thing. And oh, well, maybe this isn't the end of the episode. I thought it was, that was a satisfying, and it was satisfying for me. But then, Nikki's like, no, we got to get you ready for the gala. And I do love that Nikki pops out with the brushes in her hands like Wolverine claws, and she's like, she pops out there, which was funny. So that also brings us into Wolverine being here. There's a couple of things I'm going to go back to about this episode at the end of my kind of sort of recap here. Um, so of course we end up going to the gala ball, and this thing is totally a sham. You can totally tell this is a sham because it's not female lawyer of the year, because all the female lawyers that are there end up getting awards for female lawyer of the year. Really, it's for Hulk King to show all of Jen's data that he has mined. He's got it up on the big screen, and also her getting ready to have sex, and her parents are there. Everyone that she knows is there, and basically, Hulk King is calling her a slut, and she loses her shit. And of course, rips down the screen. And I love that Mallory Book actually says, "Don't, Jen, don't," is what she says, but she's lost her shit at this point. She brings down the screen and also brings down part of the roof too of the theater that they're in, and which leads to she sees some guys that are photographing her. They have masks on. They're part of the intelligentsia, and she goes after them, of course, which breaking through the wall, which brings in the superhuman special forces, which most likely is our damage control people, and they've got guns on her, and she's still like breathing pretty heavy, and uh, but puts her hands up finally at the end, and that's where we leave off on this episode. So some of the things that what are you saying here, CPM? That was a fucked up violation. They are not pulling any punches. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I agree with you. That was all planned, and I am fairly sure who is Hulk King. It's that little weirdo that called her a specimen. Um, uh, is it Todd? Todd, yeah, Todd is his name. So it's Todd is the guy who is Hulk King. All because he tried to make another move on her at one point. You know, trying to get her after hours to work on a case for him for a Wakanda spear that he bought at auction, which Wakanda wants back, obviously, because it's a stolen artifact. So that whole thing is, I'm fairly sure this is where we're going with this, is that he is actually Hulk King, if you will. It's not leader. I know Abomination's going to be involved in this at some point as well. Um, and he has some ties to Intelligentsia, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe this part of the story is all going to be about Todd. So Mork says, "Wait, wasn't she supposed to be the one who had her shit together and control her no, not entirely. She just said that she has a lot more rage in her than Bruce does, and that, when she got pushed to the limit, she went over the limit. That you know, shit happens." Cordell Fenwell, best Law& and Order episode ever, yeah. So some things a note that you might have missed in here. Matt Murdock actually says in the courtroom, the Sokovia Accords are rescinded. So that might have flown under the radar for some people, but that was the whole bone of contention for Civil War, the Sokovia Accords. So that is rescinded now at this point. Um, like I said, we also had the Wolverine thing that Nikki was doing there. So obviously, mutants are a thing in this world as well. Um, yeah, and I'm fairly sure we're gonna get some more stuff. Again, this is what I love about this series is it's the minutia of the MCU. So what everyone keeps saying that Andor is to Star Wars, where it's showing just regular people in Star Wars land and blah blah blah. Not really. That's really not doing any character development. She-Hulk is doing more for just average people in the MCU than Andor is doing for average people in the Star Wars universe. So and I'm going to say that flat out right now. And it's doing it better. It really is. Plus, it's also doing character development as well. So we got all that going on, and in less time per episode. There, I said it, and I mean it. Um, Yeah, I really love that Charlie Cox was in this. Every scene that we had in there was great. Um, and I'm looking forward to next week. I really am looking forward to next week. I agree with you, Cordo Fenwell. This does have more space to it because we're dealing with an well, not really. I mean, Andor has an entire universe to work with, and She-Hulk is just dealing with Earth, if I guess you could say, or LA, if you will, at this point. Oh, Disney cares about Star Wars. They do. It generates money. But CBM says in Civil War, they mentioned how there were more people with abilities around, but it never felt like that was true until now. Exactly. That's the whole thing. This world feels lived in now. The She Hulk world feels like the comics. When they said that, when they said in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness that the universe that we're watching is Marvel 616, which is the exact same universe as in the comics, I was like, "Really?" And now we're actually seeing that with She-Hulk. She-Hulk feels like the 616 universe. I mean, we're seeing, people, rich assholes, getting super suits made and then fucking them up and then suing the people that made those suits because they fucked them up on, you know, themselves. So, and then also, of course, we have mutants and we have vampires and we have people that were experimented on in labs, via man bull, things of that nature. So this is all more encompassing of the MCU. And again, this is what these Disney Plus series were supposed to do. They were supposed to expand the MCU without being the budget of a movie. And they're doing it well. This is actually fun. This is what it's supposed to be. And no, this is not going to be for everybody. It's the same thing like comics. Not every comic is made for everybody. There are some people who liked Venom, not me. I didn't ever like that one. And there are some people who like She-Hulk, like me, where other people didn't like it. So I mean, again, this all these series are going to be like comic books. Some of them are going to hit with some people, some of them are going to miss with some people. So there you have it. If you don't like it, move on to something else. Really, just change the channel. That's all you need to do. You really don't need to harp on it. You don't need to destroy it, or yeah, shit on it, the way people have been on the internet. Unless, you're doing it for your own ulterior reasons, and then, you know, grow the fuck up. Cordell Venables says world building Marvel TV series. Exactly. Exactly what that is. Yes. So this is a great episode. This is what I want to see from this series. I hope we get a second season out of this. Again, all the numbers, by the way, for this is the top rated streaming right now. This is the number one streaming series right now that's going on. It's out of all the streaming series that are currently airing. Um, so yes, it's kind of funny in the rankings. It's number one right now, and it's pretty funny. And I think everyone is saying, "Oh, because everyone's waiting for Daredevil, because everyone's waiting for." No, it's not. I mean, if it crashes and burns next, episode, possibly, but I don't think so. I mean, come on. You watched 8 episodes out of 9, you're not gonna watch the ninth episode because now you finally saw Daredevil, and I do love at the very beginning of this episode too, she says, "Previously on my show," because she knew people were gonna go, "Oh, it's a Daredevil show." It's not. This is called She-Hulk: Attorney at Law. There, I ranted enough on that, I think. Maybe I got my point across. I don't know. Probably not, but anyway. Good stuff, lots of fun, great fight scene, and yeah, just great characters. I mean, um, Matt Murdock interacting with Jen Walters in both in, her in human form or her, depowered form, I guess you could say, is, really great. I like the chemistry between, Tatiana Maslany and Charlie Cox. I think they did a great job together. So everyone did a great job in this. This is a lot of fun. Even the guy who played Leapfrog played him like an asshole. I mean, just completely played him like an asshole. So yeah, Brandon Stanley is the guy's name. He did a great job. Looking forward to the season finale for next week. So, with that said, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow is going to be Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Saturday, I'm going to be off. Sunday is going to be the Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any of the genre stuff you guys want to talk about. And we talk about it. Monday is going to be House of the Dragon. Tuesday is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And it's going to be Werewolf by Night. So that's Marvel's Werewolf by Night, which drops at midnight tonight, by the way. It's a movie. It's going to be black and white. It's, an homage to the Hammer movies and Universal movies of old. And I'm looking forward to this because the comic in the 70s was fucking something else. It was different. It was one of the horror comics from Marvel Comics, and it's great. So I'm looking forward to that one. Wednesday is going to be Andor, and then of course we roll back around to Thursday with the season finale of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Yep. Cordell Venable says, I skipped the Shield and Falcon and Winter Soldier series because they felt boring, but I'm glad of what they did with She-Hulk. And again, Cordell, like, this is stuff, like I said, not all the series are must watch. I watch all that stuff because I pretty much love a lot of the Marvel stuff, all things Marvel. Miss Marvel for me was a miss, but then again, it wasn't it wasn't geared towards me, obviously, but also I didn't like what they did with the character myself. Uh, I had my reasons for it. I like the actors. I liked, the acting. They did a great job. It's just I didn't like the way it was portrayed. So, but this was, knock it out of the park for me. This was fun. This is what I want to see from Marvel, especially if you're going to do a comedy series. This is what you should be doing, you know. And I'm definitely looking forward to the season finale for this one for next week. I'm going to be sad, but I'm also going to be happy about it too because we get another episode. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go for the rest of the night. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. And thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you're still on the fence about, if you like what you see there, I should say, hit that subscribe button down below there if you can, please. And also hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'll be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. Cordell, yeah, I know what you mean about the VFX. They're doing this on TV budget and they're not doing it on movie budget. So what they did was they ported over the Hulk CGI, his model, I guess you could say, which is already built for the movies over to they already had it. They already had it made for the movies and that. So that's why it didn't look as forced as She-Hulk. When She-Hulk ends up going into the movies and they clean up her VFX and all that, the CGI on her, that's going to be a better model. And if they end up doing a second series or a second season, they'll port that model over as well. And it'll actually be a good model to work off of. And you won't see those weird artifacts that going on. For me, it's her mouth. Her mouth is too low. And her eyes are spaced out too far. That's where my problem is on it. Um, I look at this kind of stuff from, again, it's going back to what I learned in school. And I'm looking at the stuff. I'm like, okay, or if you're modeling this, you want to actually bring those together and, you want to do the proportions correctly. And the proportions just weren't, they were a little bit off, is what's going on. So, anyway, with that said, thank you, everyone. I will see you again tomorrow for Lord of the Rings of Power. Until then, Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, Luke Jacobson might just get pissed at you because you just brought a lawsuit to his door, and he's not making that gala dress for you for Female Lawyer of the Year, unless you rescue him from the guy who you were defending, or you were representing in court. There we go. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, get the boosters as well, because it doesn't work without the boosters. And by the way, get the flu shot out there too. I got mine today, and it's not that bad. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night, and take care out there, everyone. Have a good night.